Hey guys, it's Brindley and happy Monday. Sorry it took me a little bit longer to get on Facebook, so we're a few minutes late tonight. And I'm excited about the topic. I always am excited about the topic. A lot of times I don't know what the topic is going to be until I pray about it and I kind of ask God to show me what message He wants me to bring. And so I'm going to be real honest. I guess Thursday it hit me, right? Like I'm a pretty optimistic person. It's funny, Simon Sinek recently did a video on optimism versus positivity, and positivity can sometimes be viewed as we're ignoring the problem, like there's nothing going on. We kind of have our heads stuck in the sand. And optimism is acknowledging that there is something going on and being optimistic about the future, finding the silver lining. And I consider myself to be a pretty optimistic person. And Thursday, it just hit me. It hit me really hard. Like I want to see real life people. I want to see my friends. I want my friends that are moms to have some breathing room. And I just really started feeling it. And I got on a Zoom meeting on Sunday, and half the people on it don't use Zoom a lot, and they couldn't figure out how to mute themselves. And my nerves were like at the breaking point. And a dear friend of mine, and we're going to cover like a few things and how they all intertwine. So on one of our previous episodes, we've talked about this, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And we talked about your tribe. And someone in my tribe said to me, we want to be a human being versus a human doing. And what it made me realize is that for like the last month, I've been a human doing. I've just been doing. I've been going. That's what I do. That's what I do really well, is I just drive and I make it happen. And I haven't been taking a lot of time to be a human being and to just be. And I think being the human doing and then also being that human doing person is what made me hit the wall. Like I'm doing all of these things, yet I'm not allowed to go do all of these other things, right? And it's all wrapped in having to be this human doing instead of this human being. And I remember when I first started my journey to recovery, learning how to just be, because I still don't sit well yet. If you would have told me back then that I would meditate for 10 minutes a day, I would have told you that you were crazy and I didn't know who you were talking about. And I had someone that when I started on the journey that said to me, I just want you, when you wake up in the morning, I just want you to lay there. And the first thing I want you to say to yourself is just be. And you don't have to do anything. You don't have to meditate. You don't have to pray. Don't grab your phone. Just lay there and say to yourself, just be. So they taught me that trick. And with that started coming, if you see, I just did it, these deep breaths, because it's hard to not to just be and then not to also breathe. Because a lot of times when we're a human doing, we're holding our breath a lot of the times because we're holding all this stress in so that we can just propel forward. We call that self-propulsion, right? We're propelling on self. And when you're a human being, it forces you to slow down. It forces you to breathe. And it forces you to release a lot of that stress and pent up energy that you need in order to survive on self-propulsion. So that was the first thing they taught me. The second thing I learned was to enjoy the shower. And this might sound a little bit crazy. I've always prided myself on the fact that I can get ready in less than 30 minutes and I can take a shower in 10 or 15 minutes. And someone said to me, what if you just sat in the shower and enjoyed being in the shower? What if you just enjoyed feeling the water run down your head and your skin, and you just enjoyed the moment and you were just there? And I remember the first time that I just paused in the shower. And I know that sounds a little bit crazy, yet for those of us that are human doings, that's typically a place that we don't use to just be and to relax. It's typically a place that we go full on in to doing, right? Got to get in there, wash our hair, wash our body, do this, shave the legs, get out, dry, and then we have to get ready, right? So they taught me to just be in the shower. Couple of things about human beings versus human doings. So human beings are the kind of people who hold their self-worth internally. So we go back to the self-worth versus the self-esteem, right? Human being self-worth comes from within. how they treat people, how their values, all of that is what determines their validation. They don't seek validation from outside sources. They don't seek validation by striving to do and be perfect. So human doings are often list people. They wake up, they have a list of tasks, they're not satisfied or happy until they get everything done, and they've crossed off all their lists and they have succeeded the day. Their self-esteem, because remember the difference between self-worth and self-esteem. Self-worth comes from within, self-esteem from outside. They base their self-esteem on outside influences, which is they're overly connected to their accomplishments and to their doing and their finishing. Where human beings have self-worth because that's validated from the inside, from their core values, who they are, the way that they treat others. So, human doing is an invisible disease, right? Doing and doing and doing is not sustainable. Over time, we will hit a wall, just like I did Thursday night. And when we hit that wall, God typically slows us down. And for me, he usually does it in the form of illness, irritability, or just completely shuts me down. And typically I really want to do it before he does it, because when he does it, it's a lot worse than when I do it. So a couple things to remember with that is to retreat. We have to be able to retreat. When we aren't able to use the power of the pause anymore, which means we're not able to stop and just be and then do, then we need to retreat. That means that we are on self-propulsion. We are doing too much. We have moved from being a human being to being a human doing, and we need to retreat and we need to pause. Everything new and creative requires space. So when we need to learn to go from human doing to human being, we have to create space in order to be. So we have to retreat, and then we have to figure out how we're going to create the space to get back to human being. So for me this weekend, I took the entire weekend and I didn't do anything that was doing. I did things for me. I did things that made me feel fulfilled. I did things that made me fill my bucket. So I got things organized for my life. I took a 2-hour nap. I woke up this morning and did yoga and committed to doing yoga every day. And I got into gratitude and started becoming grateful for the things that I have, instead of focusing on all the things I don't have right now, focusing on the things that I do have. You typically can tell when you're in human doing because everything feels forced, and it automatically at some point gets to the point of exhaustion. So when we're at the point of exhaustion, we know that we're in human doing and we're not in human being. A couple of things that I wanted to read to you as I was doing research on the topic. I discovered that the average lifespan is 71 years, which means that we have 25,915 days in the average lifetime. Do you know that 41%, that's 8,895 days of that time is spent staring at a screen? We're either staring at our phones or we're staring at a computer screen. 41%. I was shocked. I knew it would be high. I didn't expect it to be 41%. 68%, which is 1,769 days, is spent with a loved one. So human being, human doing, 41% is spent doing in front of a screen. 6.8% is spent being with someone that we love. And then they said that 0.69%, which is 180 days of our life, is spent exercising for the average American, while 29.75%, which is 7,700 days, is sitting down. Yet the two that I really want to hone in on are the 41% staring at a screen versus the 6.8% of spending time with a loved one. So what are we doing to reverse those numbers? Lily Tomlin, this was such an amazing quote by her. She said, "The trouble with the rat race is that even if you win, you're still a rat." So even if you win the rat race, you're still a rat. So I choose for you today to be introspective. Introspectiveness requires you to be instead of do. So go internal. Find out, what are your values? so that you can discover your self-worth, so that you can become a human being instead of a human doing. Get out of yourself. If you feel exhausted right now, if you feel like you're a human doing, stop and ask yourself, why am I making this all about me? And how can I get out of myself and get into the service of others and help someone else? That will also help you. I also recommend unplugging completely for at least one day of the week. So I told my team today that one day of the weekend, I can appreciate that they want to get set up for their week and they may want to do a little bit of work to get caught up, yet one day a weekend is completely unplugged. I've committed this year to doing a 3-day weekend fully unplugged each quarter, because I think that's really important. So again, what things are you putting in place to ensure that you're getting into human being instead of human doing? So I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions or you want to know more, you can always reach out to me, Brindley at brindleytucker.com. Otherwise, I will talk to you guys next Monday. Have an awesome week. Bye.